Ready?
Hello and welcome to another Solution Sunday because the soul is the solution. I am Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing. And today our topic is it's time to shine your light. And Keith Leon S., the wandering minstrel, is back. He is back. Our regular guest is now back after wandering the United States south and southwest and making his way back to the northeast, shining his light the entire trip. Keith, welcome back.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Yeah, 3 months on the road, shining our light from town to town to town. And you joined us for 3 weeks, right?
It was amazing. We had a lot of light shining for 3 weeks. There was a lot of joy, a lot of laughter, just a lot of beauty and fun had by all.
Yeah. And I really noticed when we were together, I noticed people seeing and feeling our light, like stopping down and going, whoa, what's going on here? And being drawn to us. Even be it at, we went to the Kyle Cease event, and it seems like people were just either just looking at us, like everybody looking at the three of us, or coming over and talking to us. And that's the thing. I love this title because it makes me think of when somebody said, shine your, I think it was Reverend Michael Beckwith, shine your light so brightly that people can see it, sense it, and feel it, and they wonder, like, what are you on? They'll like come up and say, I don't know what you're on, but I want some of that. Or what is that thing? What is, why are you so happy? Why are you in such a great mood? Why are you, and there's just sensing and feeling that light, I believe, that you're talking about, that comes from within and is palatable when it's your focus.
Exactly. It is said that we are beings of light, that in the universe there is light. Like that's the nature of the universe. Everything is made of light. Even scientists will say that when you take anything that's in physical form and put it under a high enough power microscope, all there is light. And so when we are shining our light, what I interpret that as is we are living in alignment with the soul that we are. We are beings of light. The soul is just pure light. And when we are being in alignment with that, we're in alignment with the entire universe. We're in alignment with nature. We're in alignment with the universe. We're in alignment with Source itself. And what else is there other than joy and peace and ease and love? Like, that's shining our light, being in alignment. What do you think?
Well, I love the question, what dims our light? Like what what do we do, or what's within us, or how does it work that one person's light is shining so bright that you can almost see it, and then somebody else's light could be almost kaput. Right? Could be, what is that? That it's a what's the difference between those two people? I think that lies the question, right? Therein lies the question.
Yeah,
How come? Why is somebody's light super bright and another person's darker?
yeah. Well, my answer to that question is we all have a personal aura, a personal energy field. And that energy field is something that we don't see with our eyes, but we can feel that. And if you imagine your original energy field that we have created as souls, that energy field is pure pristine light. But in the universe there is also shadow, and shadow is like the computer software virus. It's like the darkness that sneaks in and starts to infiltrate with smog in our light. And that darkness, that shadow, starts to overcome the light and it starts to dim our shine. And so, if you imagine your beautiful light filled aura and this dark smudge starting to come in and fill that up, then we're no longer shining our light. And what does that look like in practical purposes? Well, it looks like people with rules, you have to do this, you can't do that, and people that are not noticing our light and trying to control our light and force our light into different configurations that don't fit us. So then we're, fear starts to creep in. If the teacher is suddenly screaming at you, you did this wrong, what's wrong with you, in front of the class, like, oh, what do we do with that? Like, that's some shadow that has now infiltrated the globe, our, I call the globe our energy field, this beautiful crystalline sphere around us. And when we look out at the world, there are a lot of people that are in charge of the world. They're saying, you have to do this, don't do them, and trying to force people into by bullying and coercion. And that's really very difficult to keep our light shining when we allow that darkness to start infiltrating and making our decisions for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So saying the same thing, using a little bit different words. Yeah, I think we like come into this world, right, as a baby, remembering where we came from, mother's love, right,
Shining our light.
shining her light, held to her breast, just mother's love, just feeling all the goodness, and everybody's loving you as a child, and then as soon as you can get up and stand up and reach out for something, it's negative feedback. No, don't touch that. Oh, right. That's where it starts, and that's I think where we start to see and sense and feel the TV shows and the music, right? And so for me, it's yeah, we have this beautiful light auric field, if you will, and we're in charge of what we let in to that because everything is our thoughts. It's the way we think that is controlling our energy. So if we're watching CNN and the news and allowing that to penetrate into our field, all the darkness of all the fear that's sold through television, even commercials, you're not, buy this thing and then you'll be perfect. But without that, not so much. It's just like everywhere we go, negative information, negative feedback, or dark energy, you might call it, right? Just coming at us. The more we let that in, the more it puts out our bright light. It's like seeing our auric field as a fire, and then you can only hit fire with water so much before it goes out. And there's so much negative programming, and it's nuts. It's wow. It's like how anybody could even watch network TV in real time anymore without feeling it. It's like we're being desensitized by the just the volume of the commercials is louder than the program, and they claim it's not. You know, peak limiter, put a peak limiter on it, you'll see they're the same. It is not. All the like super in your face negative programming is twice as loud, so that if you get up and even go to the restroom, you can still hear it. That's why it's louder. So it's just like, and then it's like all medications all the time, all buy this thing and then you'll be great. And consume, and even like I grew up loving like what they now call classic rock, right? Rock and roll and everything like ACDC, right? Black Sabbath, and as an adult, when I started like really looking at that and listening to the lyrics that I was singing, right? The energy and the darkness of some of the chords, the ominous chords and all that. I'm just like, wow. And some of the songs I still love, but at least I have discernment now, which I didn't really have as a teenager because I was just like smoking pot and letting it in. I wasn't thinking like, ooh, erase on that thing. Right? Let me just erase that, But I love the music. Oh, I'll learn to play guitar so I can just play the music and not hear these lyrics. Uh, but wow, even then, it wasn't as interesting as it is now, but it still was completely there, right? For
Yeah.
as long as I could remember, especially with TV commercials. It was just like the underlying theme is unless you buy these things and have these things, you're not enough.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
then I went to school and my teachers treated me like I wasn't enough, and the students bullied me and were hateful and ugly and said mean things. And, no wonder I had to go do experiential growth work and do so many processes and so much work to be able to release all of that programming and get to where I felt like I even had a light to shine, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember being a really young child, and at night when I would go to bed, I would just be in the light, this massive field of light and love, which is eternal. And I knew that that space was eternal. And from that light, there's no war, there's no death, there's no destruction, there's no, pitting one against another. There's just harmony and love and peace and life, like growth, constant growth and experience, exploration. But then you come into, I would wake up in the morning, in my physical body, and I'd look around the planet and go, whoa, these people are not doing that. Like, that's not happening here. And
Yeah,
I couldn't understand, by the time I was 3 or 4 years old, I couldn't understand why I had been sent to this prison. And I couldn't understand, like, it was clear to me that it was a prison, but I couldn't see any walls. But it sure didn't feel good. And when I was sent off to school, it was completely clear to me, well, now they send you, here's your 9 to 5 job. But it's not 9 to 5. It's just like 8 to 2:30. So it's not really fully 9 to 5, but here's where you start. And this is what you do Monday through Friday. And that did not feel good to me in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to be outside playing. I just wanted to be out in the light, in the sunshine, playing and climbing trees and having a good time and learning about nature. But that was never going to happen. And it really started dimming my light very early in this lifetime.
yeah, yeah. It's really interesting. You mentioned the school system because with the children that are being born now and for really the last 20, 30 years, they're kind of born remembering who they are and where they came from more than the rest of us. They called the first set indigos, and now they're crystal, and I think there's even another name now.
Yeah, rainbows.
Yeah, it's like they're born remembering, right? And so the school system that we have, I think it was Hungary. I can't remember the country, but we borrowed that school system from them, and the whole system of the school is to train industrial workers and warriors, right?
Yeah,
To fight, go to the army. So that's why the bell and raise your hand and all the discipline and all, just the whole thing is set up to train industrial workers and warriors. So if these kids, they're born not necessarily wanting to fight, right? Like, and born in love and remembering love, and all of a sudden they're like, there are not very many industrial workers anymore compared everything's AI, so that's that doesn't work. And then only the chosen few that feel called, right, are going to the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines anymore. And that's a lot of like handed down through generations of family, as opposed
exactly.
to like I feel like I need to go fight, uh, majority speaking. So that system just doesn't work anymore, and they're the teens and the young ones that I've talked to for many years now, every one of them just feels like an odd duck, like they're just in the wrong place. They're so uncomfortable. And I'm constantly asking them, like, oh, yeah, so because you're not learning anything from the teachers because you were born already knowing what they know. And they're like, yeah, like they have nothing to teach me. And I'm like, so you're bored out of your mind. So then you're trying just doing something else because you're not learning anything. And then they say you're a, you know, you need Ritalin or something because you can't focus, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
ADD, they call it ADD. ADD means I'm so bored you have nothing to teach me, right?
Mhm.
I'm bored because I already know this stuff. I was born knowing this stuff. I'm sorry, teacher, if I know more than you and I haven't graduated yet. But they all feel like that and they all look at me and go, oh my God, you get me. Like, thank you. You see me. Like,
Mhm.
they're the words I hear over and over again. And only to them could I say you were born already knowing everything they're trying to teach you.
Yeah. That
People
was
our age would
clear.
be like, what are you talking about? But they just go, yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Every one of them go, no, that doesn't ring true. Like I haven't had one conversation with a youngin who just goes, what are you talking about? They just go, thank you. You see me. Yes. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's, that's why I really feel like it is the younger generation that's going to pull us out of all this poo poo that we're in now. It's certainly not the older people doing the same garbage they grew up with.
Yeah, it's the ones that are able to withstand the pressure of,
Yeah,
parents making them trying to make them conform, teachers trying to make them conform, the government trying to make them conform. And by doing that, they put pressure. This was my experience growing up because I knew all of that stuff. I was born awake. It was completely clear. I could see what was going on this planet, and I could see that humanity had amnesia. It was completely clear to me. And but then as I was growing up, I was always the odd duck because I always saw things from a different perspective, but then I was shamed for it. I was made wrong. I was told that that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't, I was doing it wrong. Everything I did was always wrong. So, because it wasn't the same way that, the generation before had done. So, because it wasn't the same as the previous generation, then I was wrong. So, it really inverted the flow of energy. So instead of my light being able to shine out, I started to withdraw. So all of my energy started to move in reverse. So in our normal state, our energy is flowing up and out, and we're always expanding, just like a star, shining bright. That light is going out, it's coming from inside, and there's no end to where it's coming from. Like, there's no end to your light.
yeah,
But when that energy comes at us, and we're shamed and we're ridiculed and we're blamed, and it shut my light way down. So any of these kids these days that are getting that, it's really hard for them to resist. But there are so many younger generations that were like me that are now having children who are aware of what's going on. So those are the kids who are able to be in an environment that's safe and loving and, awakened. That those are the ones to look for.
yeah. The ones who will save the world. My hope.
Well, yeah, and it's
But how do
really
we?
us
But
who
how do
will
we
save the
cultivate that?
world.
How do we cultivate that? You know, I
Right?
feel
It's
like
like,
how can
really, it's kind of funny because the way I look at things, I look at how the world is set up, and it's set up in a triangle so that all the it's, in a pyramid. So everybody who's at the top of the pyramid, hey, they got prime viewing, they're the ones at the top. And there are many, many, many down at the bottom that don't have anything. The ones at the top have everything. The ones at the bottom have very, very little or next to nothing. And you know. So it's crazy when we just start to look at these people at the top of the pyramid. They're really not making decisions based on love or peace or harmony. They're making decisions based on war, on fear, on harvesting energy from the collective,
Mm.
bullying, coercion. It's like, wait a second. We're putting crowns on people's heads that really shouldn't be there. Like, if these people were not making all the decisions, if these people in the bottom part of the pyramid we just want to live in love and light and shine our light. If we were the ones making the decisions for the planet, this would be a completely different world.
Mm.
And there are far more of us than there are of them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
really, it's all about energy. So the more we shine our light, like we don't have to do anything. Like it's not about us versus them at all. It's about us shining our light so bright that we shine our light on the darkness and we see what's actually happening on the planet. So we stop allowing ourselves to be bullied and coerced into doing their bidding. We have to stop giving the bullies our lunch money.
Yeah. So all that stuff is outside of us. Right? So it's like if people are watching and they're like, so what's my next step? It's like really, we keep saying shine our light. So we're talking about us, right? And so for me, the first step was for me to stop doing to myself what I had been trained by the outside world to do. So that was seeing myself as not enough, seeing all my imperfections instead of all the ways that I'm good, right? Seeing my light instead of the darkness by sitting, right? Sitting and breathing in the silence. So I really had to stop judging myself, beating myself up, saying I'm too anything, right? That's a negative. I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. I'm too, anything. I love the way I think it was Byron Katie who said you cannot be any more or any less of what you are in this moment. Period. So in this moment, if you weigh 180, you cannot be 179. You cannot be 160. You can only be exactly what you are. And you can't be more loving or more caring or more anything. You can only be exactly what you are in this moment. So now in this moment, if I make another choice moving forward, I can maybe work my way to 162 from 190. But in this moment, I can't be anything more than I am now. I can't have any less bumps on my face than I do now. And so, how can there be anything wrong with how I am right now in this moment? It just when you argue with what is, you lose, but only every time. Another Katieism, one of my favorites too, by the way. when when you argue with what is, you lose, but only every time. That was huge, huge for me. And then, like you were saying, going back to childhood, I was born remembering who I was, but then I was also born. Then my parents split, and then my mom was like super manic depressive, always in the bed crying, like just super depression. And unless I was with my grandma, that was what was surrounding me 24/7. And then her and my sister fighting, saying hateful, horrible things to each other. Like that was my surrounding. So it was again negative feedback, negative feedback, negative feedback, dark, 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 dark coming at me, and then going to school. And so it's like for me, it was easy to kind of forget who I was. So then that's why I believe my guardian angel started like, literally speaking to me in a way that I could hear it, so that I could at least have some tie to what I was born remembering, right? Because before that, I was quoting scripture at church, and they were like saying, "Oh, that's Matthew, blah blah," and I was like, "Well, then why do I know it? Because I haven't read the book, right?" Or I was they would speak to a certain uh, quote from the Bible that day, and then I would come up after to the bishop and say, "Don't you think that he meant this when he said that?" Because I was hearing in a completely different way, and more like felt like I was remembering more than right. Like I
Exactly.
felt like I was remembering what he said, so that was weird. Right? So it was like I had the angel connection to help me remember that I remembered, and but then still all, all this negative feedback. So I was just in a war of tug of war of trying to remember, keep hold on to any of that light that I knew I was born here with. It was so tough, and it just kept like I kept just losing grasp, just like the rope burn, and then let go of the rope because it burned. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
that's like the analogy I would use, and then finally, I like to share. You know, when people say, "What's your favorite movie of all time?" Uh, Part of my programming was my grandma was the only one that was like really successful. She was a manager at Kohl's grocery store, right? But she was a manager, and she made good money, and she had things. But then my mom was on welfare, and right, so she would say things like, "You can do be have anything," but there was no example whatsoever. And then my grandma was just like, "Work hard, work hard, work 40 hours, live for the weekend," like that energy, which that didn't feel right either.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I tend to at least sort through what she shared because there was some gold and some wisdom there. It didn't feel like what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but at
Yeah.
least like a work ethic, show up on time. Like those were things that I did end up taking with me. But my favorite movie of all time that really changed my life was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original movie,
Yeah.
because I could so relate to Charlie. My mom was in the bed like the grandparents were and barely ever got out of bed. And then when she did, she was super manic. And so the complete opposite of depressive. Well, like grandpa was. Did you notice? Like, it's
Yeah.
Charlie. He was like so manic. And I was just like, oh my God, this is me. And cheer up, Charlie. And just the whole thing. And I'm like, yes. And then I got to go on this crazy adventure, but it was very dark. Like those kids, like, did they make it out alive? I'm not sure they did. The bad kids, right? So never was established. uh, so there was like, whoa, there was like good and evil and so much in, and then all of that was erased kind of by the last line in the movie when Willy Wonka says something to the tune of, "Did you hear what happened to the child who got everything he ever dreamed of?" No, what? He lived happily ever after. And there was just something in that saying in that movie on the big screen, which is where the only place I really felt connected to source was at the movies when I was a kid.
Uh,
So that just when that dropped, it just changed everything for me because I just thought, oh, okay. So there actually can be a happily ever after, and you can have anything that you want, but it was only because he claimed it. His grandpa tried to, wow, right, well then we'll steal this thing and we'll give it to Slugworth. And he was like, no, he was honest. He was not going to steal anything from anybody. He wasn't going to have anything if he had to take it from someone else. So he gave it back, and for that, the universe rewarded him. And that was not wasted on little Keith at all. That was like the hugest lesson anybody had ever taught me, and it came through a silly movie. But it wasn't silly to me because it's like to this day. It's how I operate my business. It's how I operate everything. I don't want anything if I have to take from someone else.
exactly.
So I know that the universe always provides for me, and no matter how much the universe would provide for me, no matter how many zeros were in my bank account, I didn't take from anyone. That's me being rewarded. And if I had a whole bunch of zeros, that's just more people that I can help, right? As long
Exactly.
as that money system actually works, right? So yeah, there was so many levels I could do. I could do a week long training on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
That'd
Factory.
be fun.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much in that movie for me, and that's why people are like, huh? When I say that's my favorite movie of all time, it literally changed my life
Um,
because I didn't have an example of the things that my mom was saying.
mhm.
Say things, but I didn't see an example of it. Right? I didn't. Everything that I felt like I had, like clothes, was people felt sorry for me in the church, so they bought me new clothes because mom didn't have enough money for it. Right? Uh, these are all the things that I made up in my head. Right? It was like, oh, they feel sorry for me. Nah, maybe not. Maybe they're just like to help people. Right? But I made up all these stories, and then I just finally got clear that I was the one. It was up to me to create the life that I want, and nobody was outside of me was going to do it for me. It would always be the choices that I make. Right? Like Willy
Exactly.
Wonka didn't just give him the chocolate factory willy nilly because he was Willy. No, he had to go through a lot to prove who that kid was, right, and how honest he was, and all of that. And he only got it because the guy scanned the world for the one person who could be his heir because he didn't have a child, right? So think of all he had to go through to prove that. And so it doesn't, I don't know, I don't feel like it has to be that hard. It can just be a simple choice. And what you were talking about,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to choose to shine my light. So how do I get a light? If I'm starting from, I don't even feel like I have a light to shine. How do I get that? Oh, okay. Well, turn off the negative feedback.
Yes.
Right? uh, do things that make me feel good. Because if it really feels good in the heart space, not here, but here,
Mhm.
you're on course.
Yes.
On course, on course. Yes. Surround yourself with people who you feel have a bright light. We are the 5 people that we hang out with the most. Who are you hanging out with? Look at that. That'd be a good thing. I had to change those 5 people when I found that out. Uh, and one of them was my mom. I had to
Yep.
disconnect for a while.
Yeah.
And then finally, when she asked me why, I told her. And then she kind of stopped all that behavior so that we could connect again because it made sense to her. Because I didn't say it from a hateful place. I said it from a loving place. It was removed. But yeah, so if we can't see it, and I've been fortunate enough and sometimes can see people's light, but if we can't see it, then we sense it. Right? If we can't
Yep.
see it, we sense it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like all
So
we
if you
have to
can't see
do
it,
is like look inside and find some good quality,
hmm,
kindness or caring. Like, we all have those inside.
yeah,
Find that part of ourselves.
mm, mm-hmm, yeah. And as my wife, she still to this day she still carries a few coaching clients, and because she loves being in service to others, right, and giving to others, and that can pull her up on a day where she's not even feeling that great, right? Then she'll have a connection with that person and support them. And always after a coaching call, I would be able to tell. If I didn't know she had a call that day and then I left and then came back later, I would be like, oh, you had a coaching call today, didn't you? Because this being in service just like cranks up that light you're talking about. And then it's like, whoa, it's really, really bright.
It's like when we're gifting to others, when we're using our own gifts and talents to help others, like that's the natural flow of the universe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
then we are in the flow, we are in our light, we are shining our light, and we're helping shine the light for others so that they too can see their own light.
Yeah. And you know me, I loved to focus on positive. And that's what has been interesting about the last, what is it, 3 years now? When they kind of shut everything down, and there's a lot of stuff going on out there, and people are really like researching and finding out things that there are dark things out there that weren't as obvious as they are now. So as someone who almost, I guess, in the beginning, I was just like, I don't want to hear any of that, right? Because I'm over here, I'm dream weaving, I'm meditating, I'm focusing on what I can do and who can I be? Because I want my globe to be clear, and I want everybody that comes within my space to feel better, and all that. So it was like I was almost in uh, spiritual bypass, and I think I needed to be at the beginning, right? I don't want to look at the dark. I don't. And I kept saying, like, my wife was researching stuff. She'd be like, "But have you heard about this? Did you know this is true? But did you just, oh, did you see that? Oh my God, look what's going on over here. Oh, did you know about that? Yes, I did. How can you know about that and still be positive, right? And all of that. And then she's like, I think you're the one that's here that's supposed to kind of bridge those two things, right? I think you're the bridge." And I know that's weird. You probably don't want to hear that, but I've just seen over and over again that someone can come with the most negative energy at you, and you're just like so neutral, and you give them love, and then they leave, and they're completely changed. Like, I think you're the bridge. And I kept saying, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. I'm not here to heal humanity. I'm not the guy. and and I did that successfully for a couple of years. And then one day I was breathing and asking questions, and I came out of that meditation saying, "Oh crap, I'm the guy." Damn it! and there and there came the the first thought about what would that look like, which ended up being the Inside Effects movie that's coming out in July. And
Yippee!
so as we talk about the youth, as we talk about those kids being the difference makers and the ones who will really change this place. That's my question right now that just came up while we were talking is what are the ways to get this film to them, right? The young ones, because I have a few ran into a few kind of teenagers and a little bit older than that, and when I told them about our film and what it's about, they lit up, and nothing that I said did they go, come on. They're just like, yes, yes, oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense, yes, right. So so I'm thinking they're all the kids are on like Instagram, right? So
Mhm.
so I gotta be on IG,
Right.
right? IG. So that's yeah, that's gonna be important to get the message out to them and to the world, which is that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We know
So
that.
if anybody doesn't know about the film that you're talking about,
Yeah.
tell them what's your film?
Well, first go to the insideeffects.com and how the body heals itself. So then that's the name of the film, The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself. And ultimately that was the main topic that I wanted to share. Why is it that some people get a diagnosis of you have 2 months to live and they die in 2 months, and some people get the same diagnosis and they laugh at it and change it and make it disappear somehow magically and then live to be 90? Like, what is it? What's the difference between those two people? How does that happen? How did it happen for my aunt who did that? second thing, twice in my life, get a diagnosis and then completely make it disappear in a couple of weeks. Like, how does that happen? So that was the initial question. And then I had my own healing. And then it was like, okay. So I've seen it work for me. Let's get into that. Let's dig deeper. Let's dive deeper into this subject.
Mhm.
And the more I dug into that subject, the more other things came up. Some things that I didn't know, and trust me, every can of worms and every so-called conspiracy theory, whatever, everything was open to me by all the experts, scientists, researchers, doctors, all the people that I was able to assemble this myriad of experts of all sorts that have way more initials behind their name than me, uh, were teaching me things, and some of them were just like, what? And so because all of them were presented, it was to me to just focus on which ones have to do with what we're talking about, the body's ability to heal itself. So we basically end up with four main topics in the film, and yeah, it's amazing how much I learned, and I came out on the other side with some truth that I didn't have before. So that's what I'm excited about, because that's really what I ask at the beginning of the film is, listen with an open heart and an open mind, and then take what you want and keep it, and the rest toss in the trash. Like, I'm completely unattached to being right? Because I don't think there is such a thing. Even that word cracks me up when people say it. Because my right may not be your right. And who am I to say my right's more right than your right? So it's not something I get into. So what I believe is and know is that every teacher in this film isn't just hypothesizing what they're sharing. They know, and they're the experts of what they're sharing. And everybody is neutral. Nobody's trying to be right. 29 experts and me, 30 people in a film, not trying to be right, just presenting information and letting you choose what you like, what you want to take, and toss the rest. And I think truly that's the reason that it's going to go viral, the reason that it's really going to get out to the world is that neutral energy. Right? We don't see right. That's something that's been so ingrained
Yeah.
in us. The word right.
Right and wrong, good and
Yeah,
bad. This
yeah,
land of polarity that we have been living in, which
yeah,
polarizes the universe.
yeah, yeah. So I've had one person said it was, you know, polarizing, and everybody else loved it. And the one person who said that didn't finish it. They only watched half of it. So
Right.
yeah, that's like my ask is watch the whole film, and after you watch the whole thing, if you want to tell me what it is, and no matter what, if you're calling me a kook, like, fine, I'll take it. I will absolutely. I'll say thank you for caring enough to share that with me. Yes, I'm a total kook. All good. I'll be fine. I don't have. I'm
Yeah.
completely. All feedback is feedback to me. Uh, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. But what I if somebody says, you blah, and then they didn't finish the movie, then I'd be like, we go back and watch the whole thing, because it's each piece through the film builds off of the next, right? You open one door, then it goes into here and tells you a little bit more about that. And then, so if you stop halfway through, you didn't get the whole movie. Make it to the end of the credits, because even at the end of the credits, there's a surprise for you. So, right? So I'm so excited about this film, and um, I do feel like it is the beginning to what my wife said, about at least me being the one who opens up conversations.
Hmm. Yeah. You
And that
know,
was
if we don't even entertain the idea that our bodies can heal themselves, we will never know that our bodies can heal themselves. We're so programmed that there's something wrong with the body, where the medical model has to fix it,
Right. Does it though?
right? It's like
What did,
we are creator beings. We are each, when we shine our light, we are creating. In
yeah,
every moment, we are creators. And if we're not recognizing that we are the creators of every aspect of our lives, then we feel like victims of our lives. And we're taught that we're victims. We're taught that we're victims of disease, that you've got some disease attacking your body. Well, this is something that I have attracted. I have created this myself out of my own energy field, from my own thoughts, my own actions. My body is responding to my thoughts and emotions.
yeah,
My body is literally trying to help me, but we have been taught the opposite. We have been taught that the biological adaptations are diseases. So I'm so glad that you're putting this movie out so that we can open up this conversation, so that people can start turning their lights back on. Light is about awareness as well,
yeah,
and if we're only aware of what we're spoon fed from
right.
a tube, it's pretty limiting life.
Yeah, and pre-chemicals, how is it that all those people that lived to be 100, 110, 120, and wow, and they didn't have any pharmaceuticals? Like, how did that happen?
Right,
How
how
could
has
they live
humanity
so?
survived for millions of
Huh?
years without
What's
pharmaceuticals?
what did they take when they got sick? Maybe herbs, maybe teas, maybe
Right.
some other form of medicine that wasn't harmful to our bodies. So all of this and more we talk about, and and getting back to the light, right? And that's one of the things that in all the people that I talked to personally growing up, kind of picking people's brains, trying to get those answers. Why is it that some people this and some people that? Uh, I've always been kind of a researcher, whether I realized it or not. I love to ask people questions. I love ask older people that were married for 50 years or so, like, what are the how does that work? People that healed from something that was supposed to take them out. How did you do that? And a lot of them had like spiritual beliefs, so they believed that when Jesus said like it happens as you believe, pray believing that ye have and you will receive. It all comes back to what you're saying. What they were believing and knowing within them and connecting to the light, right? And oh, I need to be the light, which means I need to get rid of this fear and this stress. And oh God, and maybe it was the fear or stress of that caused the thing. So let me change my stinking thinking about that. Oh wow, I'm starting to feel better. Oh, let me change my stinking thinking about that. Oh my God, I'm feeling even better. These are things that I started to notice as a pattern. Was that it happens as you believe piece, right? And because that that really came forth when I started seeing people like George Burns, who lived to be 113 or whatever, and they asked him like, how, and he said, Scotch and a cigar every day. That's my ticket to longevity. Wait, wait, alcohol bad, smoking causes cancer, right? That's what I heard, right? But then that's the key to longevity. Oh, it happens as you believe. So he believed that a scotch and a cigar was going to make him live to be past 100, and he lived at 108, 113, whatever it was. Oh, maybe that like it happens as you believe thing. There's something to that,
Right,
and
exactly.
and that's what like since I was really uh, some when I was young, and then more once I finally did all that experiential growth work that I said that I did, and all the things to get me to just be nice to myself and love myself. Once I kind of got through all of that, then I decided to truly test those words. It happens as you believe.
Mhm.
So I was like, how can I live to prove that those words are true? When I leaned into that 100%, taking full responsibility for everything that I had in my life, including my life, whether it was shining or wasn't, that was nobody else's fault, right? That I'm in charge of that. That's when things shifted. That's when we started to have success in our business. That's when I started to get on the larger venues to teach more people. That's when I got all of those mentors that I got that are the most famous writers and speakers in the world. Took me under their wing, and all of that was just living to prove that the stuff we're saying right now is the truth, as opposed to just giving it lip service. Because in the speaker circuit, boy, is it easy to see about lip service, because not every one of those people is actually uh, doing what they're saying from the stage. So that was a whole another lesson.
Eye-opening, eh?
Yeah, very eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
And the same as when I was in TV production. There's the persona that's on camera, and then there's who they really are.
There's the actor and the person, yeah.
Those things don't always necessarily match, and when they do, you're just like, oh, you just like fall in love with the soul of that person, because you see them and they see you, and you go, okay, yay, finally somebody that didn't get caught up in all the hoopla of stardom.
Ah,
Yeah,
wow. Yeah, it does. When we start to realize it happens as we believe.
yeah,
We've been taught to believe in disease, and look what has manifest. The majority of the human population has been taught that diseases are going to come and attack you,
yeah.
and that you have to protect yourself from them, that you have to fight them. And look at what's going on in society. It's the overriding belief system, it's the overriding experience of humanity at this point in time. And our bodies are designed to heal themselves. When I ended up facing cancer, I had the belief that my body was going to heal itself. Like, I didn't know how, but I had the belief. Like, I had visual proof that my body had been healing itself all along. Every time I had a bump, a bruise, a break, a sprain, a cut, it was like my body had always healed itself. It's like that's proof that our bodies heal themselves. Like, that's it's right there. So if it would heal itself from a cut, a bruise, a break, a scrape, why wouldn't it heal itself of an internal wound?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what you fight will fight you back.
absolutely, but only every
Every
time.
time, like attracts like. That's why every time I think fighting for freedom, we're fighting for this, we're fighting for, and it's like maybe the cause is great, but as long as you're fighting against anything, you're
Yep,
just wasting your time. I don't care
exactly.
how many picket signs, how many people you could get the whole world to show up, and if you're shouting and fighting, you're just going to lose that one. It's
Exactly.
the way I originally heard it is what you hate will hate you back, which I thought was really cool because growing up, that was a word that was tossed around a lot in my family between my sister and my mom. And my sister would be like, "I hate you," and I was just like, "Ooh!" To me, there was really no darker word than
Yeah.
hate. Like, and it still is a trigger to me immediately. My initial trigger is like, "Whoa!" Anytime I even hear the word, so
Hmm.
somebody could just be like, they're just saying like, I hate green beans, right? And just as soon as they say the word hate, I'll go, whoa. It's just like that's how much it throws me off. Even if they just said it like that, I hate green beans, I'd be like, oh, whoa. And it just takes me back to what you hate will hate you back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I feel like I need to tell them, every person that uses the
Right.
word, you might want to change that because
Right.
that's trying to be right. And I
Yeah.
have no interest in that. But I do think, like, wow, there's so many war analogies and
Yeah.
spells in the way that we're taught to speak that it's yeah, fact that any of us are able to shine our light takes work and is amazing.
Right? Pretty impressive, eh? To not let the dark take over. You know, the
Yeah.
dark has
I,
infiltrated and been the predominant energy on this planet for a very long time. And now, as we come and shine our light, it doesn't take a whole lot of light to turn out the darkness. All you have to do is light one candle in the room, and the room is no longer dark. So, by
that's right.
us shining our light, we are changing everything on this planet. And we don't have to do a thing except stop engaging with the dark. Stop, we have to shine our light enough, like open our awareness enough to realize when the dark is messing with us and stop engaging with it. As long as we're fighting the dark, we're just engaged with it. We're perpetuating it.
Yeah. And really trusting our inner guidance.
Exactly.
If you and that's why I had said bring awareness to the light and wanting to shine it. How can we do that? That's the question. How can I shine my light? So just asking that question and bringing awareness, and maybe making it a mantra that you say all day. How can I shine my light even more? How can I shine my light? It's not going to be like, well, take this knob and turn it. But the focus and being in that question, right? Just being in that question will then tap you in to your inner guide. Oh, my inner guidance system is telling me what to do. So I just listen to that. So how can I shine my, oh, turn that off. Oh, how can I shine my light even brighter? Ooh, every time I come around this person and I hang out with them, even though I love them, when I leave, I feel bad. I feel drained. I feel, like that's a sign, right? Maybe just don't hang out with them for a minute.
Right?
Right? Your inner guidance system always knows what to do, whether it's
Exactly.
light, health, all the things that we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Like learning and knowing that you have that and to trust that it's right, but only every time, really. When you when you look at it,
Yeah.
can change everything. Can absolutely change everything, and certainly help to restore even more light to your auric field. That's where we started,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because people who can see auras can see a dark aura, can see light, right? Can physically see, and I have seen that in people, so it's a thing. I've seen it with my eyes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this light that's shining in the background of our picture. We are beings of light. If you were this light, what would it be like if your light was shining just like the sun? And if you imagine you being the light, closing your eyes and just imagine light beaming out in all directions from your center, from your core, as you be that light, there's no resistance, there's no density, there's no darkness, there's just expansion, lightness, brightness. And if you focus on that light and just feeling it expand, seeing the light, the brightness, recognizing the radiance of this light that you are, the more you focus on this light, you start to bring yourself back into harmony, into resonance with your light. And this light overrides any of the dark. It starts to bring coherence to your energy field. And just by sitting, shining your light, for a few minutes every day, recognizing yourself as a being of light. We are all grand beings of light. When we remember who we are, all the darkness goes away and everything changes because we bring ourselves into harmony with the universe. So there is like a little knob. It's like a little dimmer switch. You can just turn it right up. Just like turn your light right up. Shine brighter, brighter, brighter.
Yeah,
It's so simple, but it's highly effective.
my my angel used to tell me we're all master teachers pretending to be students.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that even mean in the beginning? What are you talking about? Then after a while, I got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
It's like we're beings of light who have amnesia. It's time to turn our own light back on. Remember that we are literally beings of light. That when we shine our light, we are expanding outward. It's our natural state, constantly growing, constantly creating, constantly doing new things that grow us and expand us and make us feel lighter and brighter. This is where our power lies. And that in the center of that light is love. Love is the power. Love is the answer.
Yes.
Being the light we are. Being the soul that we are is the solution. Keith, thank you so much for being our guest today. We love having you on.
Hmm. Always happy to do it. Love it.
So, tell us again about the inside effects. Where do people go to sign up and how are they going to be able to see it?
Yeah, go to theinsideeffects.com, watch the trailers, check it out, put in your name and email address, and it will be free. And I'll be sending emails to tell you how to access that for free. The launch date is July 8th. For now, I'm having a very interesting time with my email system. So you will put in your name and email address, and absolutely, I will receive that on my end for the time being till I transfer it somewhere else. You won't get the email that usually comes that says we've received this, and you'll be receiving more
Good to
right in transition. So do know that I did get your name and email address, and as soon as we get that sorted out, I will be reaching out to everybody saying, "Hey, thanks for your patience." But uh, interesting things going on in the universe with electronics. Maybe some of you have heard in the last couple weeks, a lot of weird things happening, and I got caught in one of those. So working on this end. Just don't have the ability to send that email saying, I got your name and email address, and there'll be more coming soon. So know that it is coming soon as soon as we get that sorted out. And it will be free. And meanwhile, please do tell everyone you know, check this out. Go to theinsideeffects.com. Check it out and let them watch the trailer and see if they want to watch it as well.
Beautiful. Great. So, everybody, shine your light this week. Notice that you are a being of light. Play. Allow yourself to just play. Allow yourself to pretend that you are a star in the heavens, just shining your light in the dark. Just you and Source shining together as one. Beautiful. Keith, thank you so much for being our guest today. Until next week, create for yourselves a great week. Bye for now.